What's going on, everybody? Welcome to
Hello.
We're nice and warm inside, but
Yeah.
it has been anything but if you're in pretty much the
Anywhere.
Midwest. I mean, I woke up, you live just a couple streets over.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Jake Miller from Heirloom Rustic Ales here in just a minute about what it's like in his neighborhood. He lives in the neighborhood I used to live in.
Oh, okay.
He and Melissa, yeah. And I woke up this morning to a nice layer of ice. I couldn't get down the stairs.
I had to crawl out of my house to get to my truck.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious. If you had a camera on me facing my house, it would have been this weird looking man coming out.
This weird looking man. I mean, you could say that anytime you leave your house.
Oh, that's fair.
This weird looking man, but weird looking man.
Weirder looking man.
Yeah, on all fours.
Yeah,
that's interesting. You want to get right into Mr. Miller?
Yeah, we have a bunch of fun stuff. Let's go.
There he is. Hey, you lost a layer. What's going on, man?
I did. I'm just post workout, and that was one too many.
One too many. Okay, let's talk about the workout thing right now. So I do, and I gave Austin Cavern him. I said you have to drink an Heirloom beer since.
Hell
Jake's
yeah, that's my favorite.
It's so good. It's such a good Kolsch.
I think it's my favorite of yours too.
Well, I picked
this is such a great beer.
It is. It really is. Workouts. Okay, so I do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I do cold plunge, and I count that as a workout in the morning. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, I go to Hot Works and I do either cycle, rowing, or this like elliptical type thing in a 130-degree infrared sauna for 15 to 20 minutes.
Sounds very intense.
It's fine, but I mean, it's relatively quick. What I could not do is what you do, Jake, which is the CrossFit world. It just looks like it hurts.
It does, but it's like, the way I describe it and why I like it is because it's basically the only time in my entire day that I'm fully present anywhere.
Interesting. Okay.
It's so brutal and you're just surviving that there is not another thought that's coming in. I mean, there's no like, man, today sucked, or I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about this, or I've got all of these little things I've got to work on. There's none of that. It is all gone. And you are just there for an hour trying to make it. And
I really love that. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I didn't do it because like I'm into CrossFit or because I'm just like one of those people that's like trying to take creatine enemas and be that guy. It's
shooting creatine
sounds awful.
Yeah. I did it just because I needed something that helped me cope with just stress. And it has been the best thing ever for that. So
awesome. I need to take a page out of your book.
Yeah.
Do what?
I need to take a page out of your book.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and it sneaks up on you. And then before you know it, it's like, man, I've gained like 15 pounds and not the good ones. And I'm just kind of like lethargic. And for me, it hit when I went to Colorado. And I mean, I used to be a backpacking guide. I used to be like in incredible shape. And I went there last year, and like the first like 2-mile hike, I was just like gasping. And I was like,
it's a different animal up there. It's a different animal.
Yeah. And I was just, I mean, it's kind of crazy for me because it was just like, man, I haven't done any physical fitness in 4 or 5 years, which is not like my style either. So I just realized I needed to do something, and I love the intensity of it. I love that I have to go to the gym, and then the coaches that we have at this particular gym just have incredible programming. So, I mean, it's like crazy the gains that I've made in the last 6 months. It's nuts.
That's awesome, man.
So I told you for 6 months.
I mean, I told you look swole. I wasn't kidding.
I don't know about that, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to like, when I walk out of that gym, I feel like I may not make it to the car, like every time.
But that's the best. I mean, it sucks, but it's also the best feeling.
Yeah. No. And then when we mash in the morning, oh my God, dude. Like I'll pick up a bag and just collapse. It's it's rough. It's rough.
The
It's
bag defeated me.
Yeah, the bag
yeah,
wins this one. Yeah.
exactly. Nothing like working out to be sore all of the time.
Right. Well, okay. So you mentioned the stresses of what you do, what Austin does. I mean, we all three own businesses, but you two own very similar businesses.
Yeah.
Heirloom Cabin Boys, for those watching that don't know.
Amen.
So let's talk about this time of year and the additional stresses that can bring. Here's what I'll give you kudos for, Jake. And I know you guys do it as well, but I've just noticed on social recently, like you guys are exhausting all creative options to get bodies into your brewery. I think there was a soup. What was it? Like a soup thing
Yeah.
yesterday? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sober soup off.
Sober soup off.
Sober soup
Yeah.
off.
Which
That's
I just
awesome.
laughed and like I really wanted to go. I couldn't make it, but I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the new venture opening up early next month, but you're going to take advantage of the earlier hours in the day before the brewery opens to get people in to experience something else. But how stressful, I mean, and both of you can kind of take this and go wherever you want with it. But how stressful, Jake, has this time of year historically been, not just for Heirloom, but for the industry, the beginning of the year, January timeframe?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's you have like one or two other months besides January that you just see dramatic slowdown and sales kind of not be where they normally are. And it's always stressful, but January I feel like has this really particularly stressful scenario because not only are you dealing with obviously people people no longer drinking or taking some time off, which I think is great. But you have that, and then you also have just crazy weather. I mean, this is a great example. Like going from 3 days of 20 degrees and like 0 degree wind chill, and nobody from Tulsa is trying to get out in that. And
Right.
then
Right.
you go from that to like it's going to rain the next 3 days and like kind of pretty heavily and be cloudy. So it's like not only are you dealing with just people making lifestyle changes all this month, it's also that this month is just not very hospitable to begin with. And so and it's tough because your budget really doesn't change. I mean, it's not like we can all of a sudden start ordering like, you know, different grain that's going to save us a ton of money, or like payroll's still going to be there waiting for you. I mean, all those things still come through at the same amount as your best months. And so
Sure.
it's constantly problem solving, but I think it helps the more you do this. Like it's coming in November. We're already talking about events. We try to do beer releases in January. We try to put a lot in there that kind of gets people in. Like you were saying, like the sober soup off. Jess basically starting in November is like, I've got to get events down. I've got to figure some things out. And then we have so many connections now with so many different people in this town that, I think we're going to have probably 5 sober based events when this month.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I actually really respect that from a brewery that doesn't make non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not your clientele, but I'll speak for other people, which is kind of a dangerous thing to do, but
Sure.
it makes it feel inclusive, right? Like if I don't drink and I have buddies that are going to a brewery and they go to, let's just say Heirloom, and I know that I've been to events there that I was able to get non-alcoholic drinks, phony Negronis, best day brewing beers and all that. Like I would feel more welcome to go there. I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think, it helps too that like when we started, like way before, generationally speaking, people were just deciding not to drink. We were already bringing in a lot of NA options to be more inclusive just because I mean, what was weird for me when I started brewing 10 years ago like whenever dry January would come up, it was pretty common in the brewing industry to like jab at people that were practicing dry
Sure. Yeah. Almost
January.
make fun of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like
Yeah.
I think that's fucked up. I really do think you know, as much as I need the business and people to come in, I'll never be able to be one of those guys that's like, you guys need to drink more. Come on. Like
Right.
Yeah.
I really can't get behind that kind of mentality. And so we've been kind of offering as many possibilities as we can for a long time because we do some like we'll have noise shows and stuff like that. And
Mm.
a bunch of straight edge lifestyle people want to come to those. And you got to have things that they can drink. And I
That's
don't
cool.
mind that we don't make it too. I mean, my theory is like we put a lot of effort into beer and I'm just fine with letting other people do the other things better than we ever could and sending people in that direction.
Let me ask
Yeah.
both of you a question, and this might be a stupid question. I think I already know the answer,
Excuse me.
but could you brew like a non-alcoholic beer while you're also brewing regular beer? I mean, it would obviously take up like some space, right? You'd have to have its own dedicated thing, but it's not like a plant where like if you have a nut allergy, they're making they
Right.
can't make anything because it could cross contaminate or something
Right.
like that. You could physically like find a way to do it if you wanted to, right?
You could you could buy equipment to do that.
But is it
for
to
downstream.
de-alcoholize it or
Yeah.
whatever the term there is?
You could, I guess, reboil it. Have you ever heard of that, Jake? Someone like reboiling the
Yeah, just
beer
basically
after from
taking a finished beer and then putting
Yeah.
it back in the kettle and pasteurizing it that way
Yeah.
and taking the alcohol out just through heat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way it's been done for a while, and I just think it sucks.
Oh, it tastes awful. I mean, it
Yeah.
tastes like a re-microwaved
Yeah.
macaroni and cheese or something.
I mean, I think Jake, what you hit on is just the key there. Like there's enough beer to go around, and you guys, both of you make good enough beer
Yeah.
that for people that drink beer, like you're going to survive. So let the companies that make non-alcoholic beer well, and that's all they do.
Yeah.
Let them specialize in that and just sell it.
I think that's the difference is like, Athletic or Best Day or, those Best Day has some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me that someone can make a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah, I gave him
great.
the Kolsch and the West Coast IPA
Yeah.
last week, and
Oh,
I
nice.
blew his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
But like that's all that they do.
Right.
I've spent,
as far as I know. Yeah.
Jake and I we've spent our whole entire life perfecting fermentation to taste good.
Sure.
And making actual beer. So I am in the boat with you, Jake, on your sentiment of I'll let someone else do that and bring that in.
Yeah.
Now we do make a hop water. Do you, Jake? Do you guys make a hop water, Jake?
We don't.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's easy.
And those are good too. Like I'm trying to think of the one. I think it's the Lagunitas one that I'm like, I kind of hate how much I like it.
Yeah. It is good. I want to touch on something you said, and then we can move off of the depressing
It's all right.
January.
January will stare you in the face.
Numbers
anytime.
and books. Yeah. But so when you're prognosticating for the year and you're making your pro formas and your budgets and all this stuff, you can't buy cheaper grain or like you were talking about, but do you scale back production knowing that the month will be a little shorter on the people coming in and buying beer, or do you make the same amount and then just have it for February and whatnot and hope you sell it?
Yeah, for us, it really doesn't shift. Like I mean, that's the thing. When you have a staff, you basically staff to take on your most busy time.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't figured out a creative way to do that I feel ethically okay with, hey, like you're here for, I guess, these off and on every now and again for a couple months. And then, we say goodbye to you in the winter. I I don't know any way of doing that, and we're
No,
never going to
no.
let go of any of our staff. So it's more of like, I mean, I kind of love January because it just means that our loggers get more time.
There you
And
go.
so they like roll out in February, and I'm like, man, I wish we could add 2 more weeks every single time. And that's kind of the way that we work through it. But I mean, like you said, it's like any other business. You know, I worked for Patagonia and managed a store there and looked at those P&Ls all the time. They have slow months, you know, that you can see coming, and you've just got to be ready for it. And
Sure.
hopefully you're making enough money in other months to cover the slow ones. And I mean, that's really the only way to do it.
The beautiful song and dance of owning a business, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, or just what I've coped with it by. You said it earlier. You just kind of get used to it. I kind of get numb to it.
Yeah.
You're used to it. You do the fun events that you try to make fun
Sure.
in January, and then you close on a day like today.
Yeah. Right.
You just give up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to get your opinion on something, Jake. So last week, Austin asked a question that I thought was a really good question, and I've been thinking about it ever since, actually. So it was basically saying, you know, if you think back to, what did you say, like 04?
Yeah.
04, 05, 06, back in like the early, just like when we were, you know, the state wasn't getting a bunch of out of state beers. And so the craft beer scene was just, I mean, there would be lines for beer releases at liquor stores, and it was just this new hip thing. And I don't know if it's cyclical or what it is. I mean, now people line up for bourbon. I think agave spirits are probably up next. I think some attention will swing over there. But Austin posed the question of how can we make craft beer fun again, new again, kind of freshen it up a little bit? And I know that's a weighty and a big question to just throw on you with zero preparation, but do you have any thoughts on that? Like when you hear that, do you have anything that comes to mind, or maybe you've thought about it just on your own, you know, over the past couple of years? Like how do you get back to that coolness, if you will? Not that it's not cool now, but it was just so neat and new, you know, novel at the time.
I don't want it.
Okay.
You know, I worked through all those and was a part of brands that were in the middle of all that. And I hate it.
Fair.
It's
Right on.
like I felt like all that did was breed all kinds of entitlement, exclusivity, all things I don't associate with beer at all. And you know, to me, I just got back a few months ago from going to England and just basically hitting. I mean, we drove across the entire country. And to me, that's what I want beer to be. Those pubs over there, people showing up, they drink the same beer that they've drank for the last 10 years. They drink 3 of them, 4 of them, they're 4%, and then they leave and go home. And I think that's what I want beer to be, and what I hope it is. And I think people are struggling with, you know, like starting breweries, and it's like, man, we're doing our barrel aged release, and you know, I don't think anybody's really going to care too much. We might sell, you know, this amount or that amount, but you know, it's not going to be like 7,000 people talking about it and asking people to get it and people proxying up, you know, it's
right.
And I think people that started breweries assuming they were going to be able to do that. I mean, I feel bad for them because it's just, I mean, it's a supply and demand thing. I mean,
Yep.
when you have 10,000 people pumping out beers, and there really aren't that many secrets anymore. I mean,
That's
you
also
don't even
true.
really
Yeah.
see like the hot breweries that everybody was pining for to get those 4-packs, and people literally pulling up with dollies and taking out 4 cases of them. You don't really see that anywhere anymore because people have started to realize that like somebody in your state is probably making them just as good, and they're probably going to be better by the time they get to you anyway because they're fresher. and they
Yeah.
didn't go through the shipping process, and you didn't have to pay at the end of the day like $35 a 4-pack because they got shipped to you. So for me, I think it's actually right where it's supposed to be. And the cruel kind of piece to it is, there's just going to be some people that lose out, that are making damn fine beer and run great businesses. And it's just because at some point we hit a saturation level. But as far as like the culture of beer, I think we needed to get away from that stuff. I mean, I think that was actually a negative thing for beer and the trajectory of it. And I think now what I see that I love, like just to keep it optimistic, because there's plenty of things I could talk about that make me cynical too. But
Sure.
We don't have to go down that route.
Like Suarez is one of my favorite breweries out of New York, and his stuff is just getting torn up because he can distribute now to almost every state in the country. And so he's just selling, cases here and there of fresh lager whenever they come out all over the place, and people are buying it all up, and he runs out of every beer that he posts and then posts another one, and they're all just normal ass beers that people are excited to try from somebody making the best versions of normal beers. And I think there's actually a lot of good stuff out there. It's just hard to kind of focus on that stuff when you see more brewery closures than you've ever seen historically. But I think there's no getting around that. I mean, at some point there's just how many breweries does your town need? Like,
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like the same thing will happen to the dispensaries.
That's
we
already
have
starting. Yeah.
We have more dispensaries on corners than we do churches, and this is the Bible Belt. It didn't it used to be a church on every corner. Now it's 2 dispensaries on every corner.
Yeah.
But the brewery closures that you're talking about, Jake, I mean, it's starting to hit close to home. I know at least a couple handfuls have closed over the last few weeks and months in Oklahoma City. And so it's creeping its way. I don't know what way it's going, but pretty much all across the country. I'm curious though, that entitlement that you talked about, that, the early on and all that stuff, the craze brought, were you seeing that more when you say that? Are you referring to entitlement from brewery owners and brewers, or from consumers, or both?
I think a little bit of both. Like, I mean, I don't have any problem saying that, working at Prairie, every time we did a release, it just felt like the world was both beginning and ending all at once. Like, the amount of people and the amount of energy and tension that brought about was nuts. But then it was kind of funny because I was like, it's just like me, Chase, and Colin in this shitty warehouse, trying our best and learning. Like, the funny thing is like, we were always talking collabs back then. You would learn things. It would be like, I'm brewing with so-and-so, and I would always come out of those like, holy shit, like, I can't believe I've been doing that this way this whole time when I should have been doing it this way. And I mean, I look back on some of the things that I made and some of the things that we made, and just like, I mean, people weren't like, so whenever you're taking a finished beer and you're about to package it, you put it in a tank that's specifically made to package beer out of. Like, we weren't even purging those tanks like 8 years ago. So like, all this oxygen would get into the beer would be like completely dead like 2 weeks after it got packaged, but it didn't matter because it was all gone. But I mean, I still have people that are like, oh man, those are the best beers I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, they weren't. They actually weren't.
They were crude.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of like, there was a time frame. The Prairie time frame was perfect. Tired Hands, Sante Adarius, and they're talented people and talented breweries. But more than all of that, for sure, was the timing, and hitting that that perfectly. But I can tell you, every brewer that works for those places hated it. Because you just had, there's a thing that happens when people line up, and they have high expectations. You have people that have zero qualifications to be critiquing beers the way that they do. And just like absolutely shredding things all the time. And,
Yeah.
and then like, because they bought releases, it's like, well, can we have a bottle share out in the parking lot and get hammered on your kind of property? Not really
And then
ask.
drive off. Yeah.
Yeah. All that
Yeah.
stuff. And that stuff all was disgusting to me. That's not the culture that I want from beer. I want beer that, you pay $6-7 for. It's a great experience. You hang out with your buds and you go home.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you. And what you said about England, I mean, that was when I went over there for the Olympics. That was one of the things I enjoyed the most. Was I would get lost every day on purpose. Like I would take the tube, I would get off somewhere where I didn't get off before. I knew how to get back, like where I was going. And so I would just intentionally get lost. And I stumbled upon some of the coolest pubs and just some of the coolest areas. There was this one bar, I'll never forget it. It was called the Grapes. It was right on the River Thames, and it was where Dickinson used to sit and write, or Dickens. And so I went in there, like they saved his stool, like the bar hadn't changed.
That's awesome.
And had a pint of Timothy Taylor's, and just like hearing the locals, basically on their way home, like you're talking about, like coming in, talking about their day, commiserating or celebrating or whatever it is, loving on their friends, and then going home. Like it's community, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like, because of the connectedness of the internet and social media and those kinds of things, like, beer has just the bar is so much higher. Beer has gotten better. Like when we do Lagerland in May,
great
the last
festival,
Lagerland, like walking around in those tents, it was just like, man, this is so much fun, and there's so much good beer being poured right now, and it's all from Oklahoma, and it's crazy to see how the state's developed in the last 5 years.
100%.
That is an awesome festival, by the way.
Yeah.
Jake.
And I do believe tickets are on sale right now. Early bird tickets.
They are.
Philbrook.org. So log on and get it. I will be there again. You will be there.
Oh yeah.
Jake will be there. Obviously, you put the thing on. So
yeah,
it's and shout out to Philbrook, by the way. They are now a finalist for Best Art Museum in the country from USA Today.
Are you serious?
Awesome.
Yep. So you can go. There's a website. There's a link if you look at Philbrook's Instagram page, I believe,
that's
where
awesome.
you can go vote. So it's like a public vote thing.
Go Tulsa.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Okay, so I teased it earlier with doing things with your space and with your business when you're not there. And I've known you long enough, and I hope you're okay with me sharing the secret, but you are a coffee snob, a lot like me. We like good coffee. It just is what it is. And so when I saw the news come across Instagram that Coffee at Heirloom is opening in the relatively near future, I got really excited. We'll have John on later to actually talk about the details of the program and all that stuff. But just from the business owner side, what went into the thought process and the decision to take your space, which is a brewery, but open it in the morning hours before it's open as a brewery, just to get more people in and drum up interest and make sales and all that stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just kind of the mindset of Heirloom, has always been more than a brewery. Like a brewery is what is standing there. But I think if you ask anybody to talk about Heirloom, like they're talking about all the events, all of the charity stuff, all of the gatherings. I want that place to be a place where people are just in and out of there all of the time, listening and engaging with different folks. And, when you open at 3, it's like, man, there is a whole huge amount of time, and we have this incredible space. I mean, Melissa, I think, did an amazing job with that space.
Absolutely. It's gorgeous.
And,
yeah.
And for all those people planning on maybe owning their business someday, you drop like $500,000 in a build out, and you're just like, and it gets used like not even half the week. And so I've always brainstormed this and tried to figure it out, but it's also like when you're allowing someone else in your space, it needs to be the right person. And I also just don't have the bandwidth right now to like manage another concept or see another concept through. And I know that Jess doesn't either. So
Yeah.
that's where it was like, man, John would be perfect. And John and I, like, we talk a lot about coffee, and he's just one of those people that we agree a lot on coffee. We both like the same things, seek out the same things. And I mean, him to like 10 times the level that I do. I mean,
Sure.
at any given time, that dude going over to his house and just seeing what coffee he has available and what coffee he's making for himself is just like mind blowing. He's got incredible stuff all of the time. And I think it'll be fun too, because I'm sure he'll talk about this some, but obviously since Cirque, he's had a lot of time to kind of brainstorm, you know, what else he wants to try and do. And so I think it'll be really fun. And yeah, I'm really excited.
That actually brought up a good point, which I should have led with. Is this, you are lending your space to like a separate business, if you want to call it that, that's going to come in and, for a better term, office out of there? Or is it something that Heirloom is involved in from like an ownership standpoint or whatever?
No, it's 100% John.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's 100% John. It's just the space that we're giving him. So the whole concept is his kind of thinking and kind of his passion project. So I'm excited for you to talk to him though, because everything he's told sounds amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait, because I think we
I
both
love good
do
coffee.
probably too many subscriptions, if that's a possible thing.
Right.
So I don't know if I need more coffee in my life, but there's going to be more coffee in my life because I trust that guy to brew up some incredible coffee. So it's going to be really, really cool to see.
Well, and here's some cool stuff for you, John, too, that I think will really speak to you. For one, I know for me, a struggle with coffee in Tulsa is like, it's kind of funny that, like, I don't know what happened during the pandemic, but basically coffee shops open at like 9 now, which doesn't really help me much. And so this one will actually be open in the morning. And so if you're going to work, you can actually get a coffee on the way to work. And
that has,
if you want to office for an hour or two, you can do that.
Yeah. I love that. And that's so true too, because when I've like driven down to Dallas to see family or whatever, and I leave at 6:30, 6:45, and I get to where I think the coffee shop is, I'm not going to call out anybody, but I think the coffee shop would be open at 7 and it's not open for another hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What is the point? I need my coffee.
Yep. He might, like, you know, play with the hours or you know, shift them around a little bit, but I know that that's something that he talked about too. And I'm like, that's actually really exciting, because kind of what spurred this on too is I had so many people asking if they could just pay me a monthly fee to office out of Heirloom while we were closed, and just use it as a workspace, because they're like, I need to get out of my house. I can't do as much work if I'm in my house, but I also don't want to pay like a full blown big deal monthly kind of
36 degrees north or whatever. Yeah.
And just wanted something a little more subtle and laid back. And I was like, I started to try to put that together, but basically what I realized is that they kind of just wanted a coffee shop and that they could office out of. And I think Heirloom will be ideal for that. But John already has a manager in place, and the manager's an F1 fan. And so it also means that we're going to have a sweet spot to watch those races in the morning with like really good juice. So
Yes, Tulsa
sounds
F1
awesome.
fan club on Facebook. Find it and join it for all of the updates there. I did a shitty job of operating that last season, so apologies to anyone that is a member of that Facebook group. But it was a weird year for getting together to watch races, though. Like you were out of town, I was out of town. Races were early. Races were. It was a weird year. But
it was. I think we were both also just where we were at with work and life and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to kind of put together programming for 6 a.m. Race day.
Yeah. And Bo isn't a big fan of coming in early to make pizzas for F1 watch parties, so that you might be a little hungry too.
Hey, as cool as the 5 of you are, it was not worth starting a
It's
fire.
about right. Yeah. It's about right. Yeah. No, but it'll that was a professional segue, by the way, because you knew I wanted to ask you about F1. So kudos, you're getting good at this live talking thing. Yeah, so we'll have some fun news about that coming down the pipe a little bit. But before I let you go, and I told you around 8:30, so I want you to get back to your normal life and tell Melissa and the puppies I say hello. But before you go, we got to talk F1.
Yeah.
Is this the year for Ferrari?
Oh my gosh.
Is it the year?
You would try to get my hopes up.
Just asking the question.
Yeah, I think Ferrari is like the Chicago Cubs, you know? Like we've had years and they're great when they're great. But you kind of go into it just expecting to slog through it. And you know, and it's
sounds so enjoyable.
Yeah,
as a Ferrari fan.
Yeah, it really is. That's why you got to have like side hustles like McLaren. Because it is brutal. And I mean, the last 3 years have just been, oh my God, dude. It's so rough. I feel like I needed to go to therapy for Charles.
I felt you could just see the depression setting in as the season progressed, and just the things that went wrong with that car and the strategy. And I mean, he had a couple driver errors too, but you could just see the depression mount.
Yeah, I don't know. I would literally sit down 10 minutes before a race and I would say to myself, I wonder what fucked up thing is going to happen to Charles today. And I was like, I wonder what his headspace is like if I already know.
Oh,
yeah. Like, how do you get behind a machine like that and not have the confidence that?
Yeah, you're getting into a rocket you don't trust.
Yeah.
But then there's like moments too where like, and I think as a Ferrari fan, you've just got to take what you can get. We are the only team that led laps last year that wasn't a Red Bull. And that pass that Charles did on Perez in Vegas, pulling 6 Gs, dude, that was the coolest thing I've seen in my F1 years.
That was really cool.
I don't know how he did it.
I feel bad for you and for Ferrari fans just in general, because I feel like they get your hopes up early in the season, pretty much every year.
Yeah,
like, they're you're right there. You're winning a race. Yeah, you're finishing second. You're spending all this money. Your upgrades, and then as the season progresses, Max just decimates everybody in his path, and now McLaren and Mercedes, and now it's going to be a really fun race. I'm assuming you're of the mindset that Max just blitzes his way to another title.
Oh yeah, I'm not even. I'm wondering who's going to win second.
That's what I was going to say. So there's going to be a really good race for second place, assuming Red Bull's in first from the.
I don't even think it'll be close again. I think he'll be miles ahead, but I'm really excited to watch Lewis and Charles and McLaren and see what kind of. I just want some good racing. I want some good overtakes. I want some. I'm actually really excited to watch Vegas again. I felt like that was the funnest race of the entire season, which going into that, everybody was talking so much shit and nobody went. And it ended up being my favorite race by like.
It was really cool. it was really cool. But of course, the car that got completely fucked up by the track not being right
Yeah.
was a
And
Ferrari.
then we got penalized for it, dude.
And then so I don't know if you know
Kick
this.
them while they're
Ferraris
down.
did.
Yeah.
Kick them while
So
they're down.
Carlos Sainz runs over a manhole cover that wasn't properly sealed.
Oh, I heard about
it. Pops up and like ruins the underside of his car, and he has to fix it. But because he fixed it, they had already done the allowed number of changes to the car, so he got penalized grid spots for the start because he had to fix an issue that was caused by the track not being ready to. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
And they didn't do any amendments or anything?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think, but you know, Ferrari fans, dude, we knew it was coming. Only
Of
the
course
track
you would be the
ruined our
ones
cars
being
and
hit
us
by a
getting in trouble
manual.
for it.
Right.
They're like,
so that, let's see, we have car designs or like liveries or whatever coming out in February. I believe Drive to Survive comes out in February too, right?
Yeah.
I don't
that'll
know
be
if it'll be a
interesting.
fun season. I don't know. We'll see.
I always think they're fun, just because you always get a little something that you didn't know about.
That's
that
true.
Netflix is, dude. I'm so glad that I'm not a celebrity that Netflix is trying to make a documentary about, because
They churn them out.
those folks are everywhere.
They really are.
And seem to have a gift for like, oh, so and so looks pretty disgruntled. We should probably have a camera on him for the next 72 hours and see where he goes with this. And
I should know this because it's more in my world, but I wonder when they have to stop filming, or like, to go through the post-production process for the episodes. But then so what I'm getting at is with Gunther Steiner getting released from Haas, like I wonder if the cameras were rolling, because that happened 2 weeks ago. So I wonder if they still had cameras there and maybe can like amend an episode and like put it on the back end of one of the later episodes. I don't know.
He's such a face for the F1 brand. You would think that they are going to have to cover that in some way.
Yeah,
but
you would think so.
I mean, they also, though, like, you've seen those principals be like, Netflix, no, get out of here. We're getting ready to like have a real meeting that you can't be in here for.
This isn't for entertainment. This is
I have to commend Netflix though. So and you guys forgive me because I became knowledgeable about F1 when Netflix, that series Drive to Survive came out. Will state that upon myself.
Nothing wrong
I
with
love
that.
watching it.
Yeah.
Love watching those series and whatnot. And I don't know if I would have ever known anything about F1 without that series. And now I kind of follow it.
They've done it.
Kind of cool.
They're trying to push that onto other sports, but they're just not doing a good enough job, if I'm being totally honest and critical. Like Breakpoint, I think is what they call the tennis one.
Yeah.
That they're doing.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
So I was watching this the other day and I noticed it and I didn't say anything and I should have. And someone pointed it out on Instagram and I saw it this morning. The post-production on that series is so bad. There's an episode in this current season that's out. I won't tell you which one, but you can find it, where the editing, so it's match point in this women's match at a major. And the angle of the shot, so the girl they're showing or whatever is serving from the deuce side of the court, right? It's a zoom in close up. And then they whip to a wide shot and she's on the ad side of the court serving.
Oh,
Sick.
no.
And then she serves it to her opponent's forehand on the wide shot. And then they push in and the opponent's hitting a backhand.
That's
so
that
like,
1 week post-production for the entire show.
And it's done by, and you can tell it's done by people that don't watch tennis, that have no idea, like can't catch the details like that because they don't really, it's probably a combination, right? They probably don't know or really watch tennis, but then also they're just crushing to try to get it out in, a few minutes, basically.
I think that's what happens whenever it's like, even you put billions of dollars behind something, if it's not authentic, it's hard to hide that.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Well, man, it's a little past when I told you I would keep you, so I'll let you go. But thank you for coming on, and I'm excited to see coffee at Heirloom, and
Yeah.
we'll catch up and discuss F1 things soon.
Actually, go get coffee in the morning.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, y'all. Have a good
All right,
night.
buddy.
Yeah.
Take care.
See you, dude.
Jake Miller from Heirloom Rustic Ales.
He's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I love Jake. You can just tell and I loved his answer. He wasn't afraid to basically say, no, like, I don't want it to be cool again.
Well, that was, so I think I should have kind of piped in on my question.
And I might have misphrased
No.
it.
It's okay. My question of it was more of like, you got it right, but the sentiment in my heart wasn't, I want lines of people lining up for a bottle share or anything like that. It was more or less, it seems
just the excitement around the industry,
or it seems like just here for a little bit. Yes, the industry has gotten saturated in most places, but after COVID, people forgot that breweries were their second or third locations to hang out. So I don't know.
That's true.
Because I 100% agree with him.
Yeah. No, I mean, that to me is what alcohol in general is.
Right.
Like for some people, it's almost medicine.
Correct.
That's when you get in trouble.
That's the bad part of it.
Yeah. But for me, it's always social. It's, I mean, despite the fact that there are 65 bottles of bourbon behind you,
you drink it
with
every
people.
So often. Yeah.
And it's in a social setting, and it's,
right.
I don't know. But he's right. Like there's something to the communal aspect of a brewery.
So I guess I could rephrase my question is, how does the brewery become the next neighborhood pub? Does that, like public house?
Sure.
Because that's what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how Germany is, actually.
Most of Europe, probably. Austria, Germany, England.
Yeah, well, Austria, yeah. Austria is more of like the coffee house, cafe.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Germany or Munich, Bavaria, is all about the breweries, beer gardens, and then you go up to England or Ireland, it's all about the pubs, public houses, and all that. So, what does it look like for Tulsa for the breweries influencing that production? Where do they fit?
I'll think on that. On that. Because it would be a fun thing to help figure out.
Yeah.
I'm
curious because obviously I'm in it.
You are. You have a vested interest in the outcome of that.
In that definition.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. So you signed an LOI. Congrats.
Yeah. It's so
that's pretty sick.
We're now negotiating, or in the early stages of negotiating. Actually, it hasn't even started yet, but we'll be negotiating lease terms for a warehouse space downtown. So that'll be really cool. We'll have
I toured that building looking at the Prairie location. Yeah. That is. It didn't necessarily fit what we needed.
No.
But it was a wildly and very deceptively large building.
It's massive.
It's huge.
It's massive.
And it's right behind Saturn, and you would never think that it's there.
The only downside to that spot is parking. And it's on a concert night if the Tulsa Theater is having a concert.
Yeah.
But if there's a festival, if there's but I mean, like, so the purpose of that post-production studio, it'll be Hollywood level, software, hardware, all that stuff. But like, for the big film productions to come in and rent that space, you don't know how many people are going to be, are all 4 edit bays and 4 color suites and 2 audio mixing rooms going to be full at the same time with people from Killers of the Flower Moon 2 or whatever, right? And so the
Tulsan's parking lot usually has space.
And one thing I'll do is I'll probably try to like make friends with certain people.
Yeah.
Like I know there's the gated lot that's just north of the brew pub, in between that and Sound Pony and all that stuff.
Yep.
I used to know the code to that gate when Prairie was operating the brew pub. And so I wonder if I could maybe make a deal with them and pay them a little bit of money for after hours for people to be able to park there or
You
something.
probably could.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'll show you the designs for the editing bays
That'll
and
be
the
sick.
color suites and all that. It's gonna be
That's
really
sick.
cool. I'm excited. Yeah, it'll be really cool. Yeah, but other than that, it's been a frustrating in the weather for me. Like it affects you guys, your bottom line, because people don't come into your
Right.
establishments and spend money. For me, it's like I can't get to people to get their money because they're not at work or they're on vacation for the holidays or they're
Right.
I need this year to actually start.
Yeah.
I mean,
come on.
it's unreal. Like
Get back
had
to
like,
work, people.
We had like 5 days of good weather and then we haven't even had a freaking, it's like January 252nd today is what it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like the longest month ever, partially because I'm not drinking and partially because the weather and everything else.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Why couldn't I could probably make it a whole lot easier if like if it was no drink July.
That's interesting.
Because
see, when I play golf and when I go to the lake, that's
Yeah.
tough. That's tough.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Though I don't, well,
because what I just said about drinking for me being social, like if I'm cooped up in my house because there's an inch and a half of ice outside, it's easier for me to not drink. However, I will give myself props. Recently, I've been not only with you, the day one of dry January.
Yeah.
But so I think I mentioned this, but I show up to Bishop Quigley's. Speaking of pubs, one of my new favorite pubs.
Great.
Well, my favorite new pub. I'll just say that. Showed up with my coffee at like noon on a Sunday, I think it was, because you wanted to have a drink.
Yeah.
But I've been there twice recently. I've been to Tina's. I was able to survive Little Venice. But going to all those places.
Baby shower.
Your baby shower. Yeah. Without having alcohol.
That's amazing.
Tina's has been great. Michael, the bartender there, go give him some love because he makes me what's called a super tonic.
Right on.
And it's actually probably more work than if I ordered an alcoholic beverage, but he squeezes like fresh grapefruit juice, lime juice, orange juice, and then I think some cinnamon and then tonic water. And it's freaking delicious.
Right on.
It's awesome. Yeah.
We're, I'm pretty sure, well, I could be speaking wrong. I know that our bartenders were wanting to or had a complete lineup of non-alcoholic cocktails for the brew pub.
That's awesome.
I think 4.
You mentioned that. Are they out now?
Man, I've been in and out of reality for a little while, so I have a grasp of what's going on, and thankfully my team's really good, so I don't have to know all of the intricate details. So
well, let's plan on meeting up there in the next few days and we'll check it out.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
That sounds good.
We'll play the game here in a minute, see if you can continue on your streak. You nailed one of the
I did actually.
Breweries, I think.
Yeah.
Country and brewery, right?
Yeah, country brewery. I didn't get the style.
I don't think you got the style right. Yeah.
It was a Denver brewery or a Colorado brewery.
It was Great Divide.
Great Divide. I was about to say Great Lakes, but
we missed that one.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Let's play the game real quick and then we'll get on with our life. I think for those watching on Instagram, which by the way, my buddy Josiah was watching from New Orleans. He said greetings from NOLA, bottoms up.
Sweet.
Cheers, buddy. All right. Your number to pick is between. So for those of you that don't know, Austin gives me a number. Correlating to this is the 700 of the best beers from around the world. It's called Great Beers. It was a Christmas gift somebody got me. It's $15 US, in case you're wondering. He gives me a number, turn to that page, and he has 3 guesses. It's almost like Guess Who?
Yeah.
Where you're trying to ask questions of elimination.
Right.
And then he, off of those 3 questions, has to guess the style. And then once he either gets it or doesn't, he knows the style. And then he gets an extra question to guess the country of origin and or brewery, if he can nail it. So you were guessing.
I need to... Where some of my team is thinking about studying for their Cicerone qualifications, and if I dive into it, I might be getting better and better at this game.
Nice. So you're going between 8 And it was what, 377.
I haven't done a low number. So let's do 14.
Okay, really low. Whew. Okay.
Probably starts with an A.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're in the A's. Yes, yes.
I've
You're
learned
in
how
the
this
A's.
book works now.
Yeah, you are in the A's.
Uh,
First question.
First question. Okay. Going for the style, right?
Style.
Style first.
I'm going to make my editing job easier later and take a picture while we're sitting here right now.
Okay. Is this style? I'm trying to get creative with my questions that will also help me.
Sometimes you question yourself into a box.
I know.
And it doesn't help you at all.
Is this a style that you would drink in the summer?
Yes,
Okay.
I think.
You think? Okay.
Relatively confident.
Relatively confident.
Relatively.
I guess that's kind of a bad question.
No, it's bad on me for knowing this style, but then also not knowing it well enough to know like the exact answer to that question.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I would drink it in the summer. Let's just go
Okay.
with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Interesting.
I gave you a few nuggets in there. Too,
Kind of.
by the way.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Is it above 6%?
No, it is not.
So it's below 6%. Drink it in the summer. I get one more. Man, I got to get creative.
Yeah, this is where it gets tough because like there's so many different styles of beer. How do you ask questions to narrow down the style?
Yeah.
It's probably, if it's summer, it's probably trending lighter.
Correct.
Under 6%, so it's definitely trending lighter.
Definitely a lighter beer. Definitely probably lighter color. Probably.
You're thinking real hard.
Well, I'm just trying to think of a creative question.
Think of a good question, not a creative question.
Is it a lager?
Shit.
So you don't know. That's an interesting.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
This is a tough one. I'm
that's
curious.
okay.
I'm curious to learn actually.
Okay. And it starts with an A.
Well, you're going for the style, not the
right.
The brewery starts with an A. Whoa, hitting the mic.
I would say the style would be a golden ale.
My buddy Jake Baldwin has a good point. There's 32 breweries in Fort Collins, so it's a podcast trip.
Nice.
We'll do, Jake.
Podcast. That'd be sick.
We could do that. Just go around, like get some meetings set up.
Oh yeah,
some interviews, and just go.
That'd be phenomenal.
Run amok in Fort Collins. I missed what you said. You said a style.
Oh, a golden ale.
It is a Keller beer.
A Keller beer.
English.
Blah, blah, blah.
That is a lager, right?
That is a lager.
Hey, got it.
Well,
summer.
Technically, yes.
Hey, 2 for 2.
So a Keller beer. Why is my tongue not working? A Keller beer is typically a lager that is served directly from the cellar, so it didn't go through any kind of filtration.
Gotcha.
So they're normally hazy. Gotcha. So like a Keller Kolsch.
It does say unfiltered and naturally cloudy.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Jordan Hastings, what's up, dude? And for everyone watching on Instagram, I think it ends live videos after an hour, and we're a minute or two away from an hour. So if that's the case, love you all. I think we'll start putting it on Instagram as well as YouTube at the same time, just because it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't end it. We'll see. But just giving you the heads up that it might. Okay, so one extra question. So it's Keller beer, which probably tells you where it's from.
I would have to say Germany.
Correct.
And it starts with an A.
It does.
Ondex?
I don't know how to pronounce it. Aktien. Octane? Maybe?
Aktien.
The origins of brewing at the Octane Brewery in Kaufbeuren, can be traced back to the early 14th century.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old.
Been around for a
Octa-
minute.
I've never drank well, I probably have drank a beer from there.
Keller beer and then some other beer I don't know how to pronounce.
Actine?
What was the second beer on
Actine?
that?
What?
The second beer listed on that? On Octine or whatever?
Actine. Kaufbieren? What? Oh, that's where it's from. Natural Trubes Keller beer, which natural Trubes, that word, that means that it's
Oh, it was a Marzen. That's what I was. Yeah.
no, oh, the second one.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Not Trubus.
That's
Not Trubus.
yeah, that literally means natural trube.
Oh, cool. What's a
So,
trube?
Trube pile is kind of like the leftovers, so it means that they're repitching the yeast into in that
Okay.
word. That is the repitching of the yeast or
Nice.
natural yeast.
All right, give me another number.
From
8 and 377. You got the country of origin that time.
Got the country of origin.
33%. That's Hall of Fame numbers.
Technically, I almost got the style right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Golden ale or golden. I'd say golden ale. So never mind. Okay. 42.
42. You are still in the A's.
Oh, wow.
I love this brewery,
Okay.
by the way. Honestly, one of my favorite breweries in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Now it's a test of, do I know that brewery?
You know the brewery.
Oh, well, I mean, know you well enough to guess the brewery.
Probably not.
Okay.
Not that you don't know me well enough,
that's
but
fine.
just that, like,
Yeah.
it's not something you see me like walking around with that often, you know? Yeah. But I do love it.
All right. Is the beer color yellow?
Yes.
Okay. Is the beer clear?
Yes.
Okay. Is the beer style hoppier than normal, such as like above 30 IBUs?
I would probably say yes.
Okay.
Not 100% sure, but I would probably say, and judging by the description, it'd be right around there, but I would probably say yeah.
Okay.
A little higher.
I'm going to say
Oh, Prudence wanted to say something.
I'm going to say a pale ale.
Close. Export lager.
Oh, okay. Export lager.
The only reason I said the IBUs is because it does say light flowery hops.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It might be around 30, might be.
Export lagers are hoppier.
Okay.
Or they have a larger hop content than normal lagers. Export lager. That's cool. Is it American?
It is not.
Dang it.
No, see, that's a question that puts you into trouble because now it could be any other country.
Yeah, which the European continent is rough to guess. I'll
give you a hint. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's the very last A brewery. Page 43 is B's.
I don't know how much that helps.
A brewery you know that would be the very last A in a brewery of 700 of the best beers from around the world.
So I have to guess the country.
Oh, my leg's asleep.
Do what?
Oh, my leg's asleep.
Oh,
that hurts.
I'm gonna guess Copenhagen, or that's not a country. Denmark,
Germany,
Oh,
Ainger. AY. That's why I thought you might.
That is a great brewery.
That's why I thought you might get it.
Love
Yeah.
Ainger.
Ainger's so good.
I was thinking something different.
Jahrendirt beer is their export lager. And then the other one they listed the Celebrator, which is their Doppelbock.
Right
They
on.
didn't list the Oktoberfest, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah. I should have guessed Germany. It's like 50% or 70% of all the beer coming out of Europe.
Okay, so Instagram did close after an hour. Gotcha.
Right on. Bye, Instagram.
See ya. All right, last one, and then we'll wrap it up.
Right on. Is the beer lower than 5%?
I just told you the
Oh.
beer. You give me a number.
Oh, give me your number. Sorry,
You're okay.
I was skipping one step.
Yes.
75.
Going 3 low numbers tonight.
Oh, Iyengar. I love that brewery.
Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, you're in the B's.
In the B's.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
In the B's.
Question 1.
Is it a darker beer?
Yes.
Okay. Is it above 5%?
No.
Right on. That helps.
This actually really makes me want to try this brewery and this beer.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Well, okay. So, is it really dark, as in like opaque?
It is very dark.
So, is it a stout?
I don't know. It is what is called a Stein beer.
Oh,
Brewed in the manner
okay.
of German Stein beers, caramel, toffee, and nuts throughout, smoky, dry finish, 4.8% ABV.
That is a style.
So I'm not sure. It looks like a stout, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I think it actually might be a lager. I'm not necessarily super familiar with Stein beers.
Okay.
It comes out of Germany.
So it is a German style. So is that your guess for the company?
Oh, I
for the
didn't even.
country?
I didn't ask a question for the country.
No.
Well, I'll just ask: is it on the European continent?
No. Yeah.
Huh.
This one threw you for a loop a little bit.
Dang.
This was a tough one.
A Stein beer. And it starts
with a B.
It starts with a B. I'm going to say America.
Yeah. It's in the U.S., various locations in Tennessee and Arkansas. It is a brew pub called Bosco's. Boscos.
Bosco's.
Since 92, this brew pub chain has been a leader in promoting greater knowledge of beer in the Mid-South. Its pubs feature English-inspired cask-conditioned ales with customers invited to participate as cellarmen.
Cool.
Customers as cellarmen. That's interesting.
Interesting.
Brewing secret. Flaming Stone, which is the Stein beer. The brewing process involves red-hot chunks of granite being plunged into the wort to caramelize the sugars.
Yep.
That's cool.
It said that it was a German-style beer?
So it says brewed in the manner of German Stein beers.
German Stein beers. That kind of lava rock also is
it's
Nordic.
Like
Gunstingly.
Yeah. I'm glad you knew what I was doing because I'm doing this.
Well, no, they're boiling the wort with the lava rocks.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's a very, very, very old style. Right on.
I need to look up something as we sign off, though, because I need to remember the last name. There it is. Okay, cool. So next week, we're going to try to have John Pierce on. I was looking up his last name. I forgot it.
Sorry, Pierce.
I was just going to say John again. I was like, have John Pierce on to talk more about the actual program of Coffee at Heirloom, because I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it will be.
And then we'll see what else we do. We'll always play the game.
Maybe I like that tradition.
Yeah, and we can have someone else on in the second half hour Or I'll let John pick first or second half hour.
Yeah.
And then we can have somebody else on. Or who are you having on the podcast this week?
I will
Kettle
probably
Editions.
have someone from my brewery
Okay.
on. I need to make the recording tomorrow.
Yes, you do. Don't be late again.
No,
I had to
won't be
edit
late.
out your apology because I got it up onto the platforms
Yeah,
on
you
Wednesday
did.
night. So I had to edit that out.
Nice. No,
Um,
this storm has thrown it's thrown
Understood.
everything.
So let's either try to get your guest from last week or week before last,
Yeah.
or
Oh, that'd be cool.
and I don't want to
Amber?
say no. Well, yes, but I don't want to say who's coming on Christina's podcast on Friday because she teases it.
Oh, cool.
We could get that guest as well
Okay,
to
cool.
maybe come back on Monday.
Sweet.
And I love him or her. So
Perfect.
there, how about that? I didn't ruin it.
You
That's
love
great.
them.
I love them. Yes. All right, man. Good to see you.
Right on. Good to
Stay
see you too.
safe. That step is slippery out there.
I might just
Be
crawl
careful.
to my truck.
Full circle. Full circle moment. Love you guys. See you next week.
See ya.